Castbender podcast is associated with Avatar: The Legend of Korra Online.com and ComicRelated.com.
Hello everybody and welcome to Castbender episode 63. This week is going to be a good one. We have a new trailer that came out from the Netherlands for book 3, and though it's only 14 seconds long, we will be discussing it for 45 minutes. But before we get into that, this week we have a guest on the show again, and a little bit of a different capacity. Max here, Max Chevrier is Teagan's brother, and he has spent some time watching Avatar, The Last Airbender, and The Legend of Korra, and we thought, what better than on our reading week when we're here to have him on the show. So Max, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Max. Hello.
Max also just recorded our new intro. If those asking if that's something, screwed around with, no, that is his actual voice.
It happens.
Max, you're also a singer, bass, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he can go fairly low. And we're just going to do some of our traditional questions before we get into the topic. So first, we want to know your favorite character and your favorite element.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to leave favorite character because I'm horrible at names, but favorite element's definitely got to be water.
Water.
It's about connecting to all your emotions and all that jazz, so that's fun.
Awesome.
And, favorite character. The little girl, I forget her name, Tenzin's daughter.
Oh, Jinora?
Jinora, the one that can talk with spirits, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so. Jinora's a neat character. Also, Teagan, I forgot to introduce you.
Oh,
you're here
I'm
as
here.
Well. AJ's not here, but that's okay because he decided that it'd be easier because we are in different cities right now, and we'll be back with AJ next week. But back to you, Max. Customary, we usually talk about least favorite character. Do you have any character that you do not like or wish to see improve greatly in the upcoming season, if it's a Korra character or just overall?
Everyone's gonna hate me because I'm horrible with names, but metal bending lady.
Lynn Beifong?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't like Lynn?
Well, she's not doing anything. She's there half the time. In the second book, she's all like, what am I doing here? I'm gonna go protect this family and then fail at protecting this family, so that's no fun. She's gotta get some backstory for stuff. And we gotta learn about, what happened with her mother and her father, and, go backstory, so then we can learn more about everyone else as well. So
yeah, that's what people have been hoping for, because Lynn, of course, is the daughter of Toph, who's a huge fan favorite, one of the most favorited characters in the Avatar, The Last Airbender universe, and now you have Lynn. You don't know who the father is. You don't know why she's kind of bitter towards Korra at the beginning. There's been stuff thrown around that Aang failed Toph, and that led to her death, hence why Lynn might be a little bit resistant to helping Korra at the beginning, and with this whole Earth theme in book 3 change, people were hoping to see more of the Earth Kingdom, and particularly one of those components was Lynn. So we're going to be talking about this trailer, so if you guys haven't already kind of clued into this, earlier this week, the Netherlands, of all places, I love the Netherlands, but it was weird that it came out of the Netherlands, was a 13, 14, depending on the clip, second trailer for book 3, and it was a preview. And originally somebody videotaped it and put it up. And that caused a huge commotion within the community, because people are like, is this fake? Or what's going on? Well, upon further digging, it was clued into the fact that it was aired upon multiple European Nickelodeon channels, so that makes it kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Validity? Fidelity?
I don't know. No idea. It's
real.
Legit?
Yeah, it makes it legit.
Yeah.
And on top of that, people are talking about the voices being wrong. Well, it's dubbed because
they don't speak whatever is spoken in the Netherlands.
So that's another thing. And some people are talking about how people make fan-made trailers all the time. Well, it seems that if it was aired on the Nickelodeon channel, then it would be probably true. And some people, not all people, especially Americans, they're in an uproar that the Netherlands got it first. Well, you know, sometimes I hate to break it to you, but the United States doesn't necessarily get everything first. And this happened to be the Netherlands' time, I guess, to get it. And you know, people are like, oh, what about the creators, Bryan and Mike? They didn't say anything about it. Well, they don't really make the decisions. They create the show, they create the ideas. They don't market it, and they don't advertise it. So it was probably had nothing to do with them. So the trailer came out, and then a couple days later, it was uploaded in HQ, so high quality. It's not in high def. It's just a very high quality version of it. People have talked about the color correction not being quite there and a bunch of other stuff. But let's talk about this. Max, when do you think book 3 would be coming out? We've talked about the release date. I said April. I'm with a bunch of other people. Very soon, but very possible. Teagan said the summer. AJ has said the fall. Where do you think the release is coming?
Well, it depends on when the other two were released. I'm not really into forums and all that stuff, so I'm not sure when they were released. But it all depends because most movies either come out around like midwinter or summer when people are stuck inside or wanting to go to the movies, right? So maybe they're gonna try and do some stuff with that, like maybe early summer or late fall or.
That's what I said. That's the ticket.
Yeah, well, so essentially, I believe that others have come out in the spring. We had fall last year because there was a huge off season, and that really pissed a lot of people off. So this time they're trying to get it sooner. Now a lot of people are like, they don't have enough time to market it, and etc. Well, they seem to have started marketing it in Europe already, and they barely marketed it last time. It just kind of came on. They announced it in like a month later, 2 months later, it came on. So spring has been a popular time because that's when a lot of new TV IPs continue. Summer is also a good time because the kids are done school, but there's some, as AJ says, the kids are going outside and playing and stuff. I don't know if I really subscribe to that theory because they're inside watching TV. It also depends on the time slot. It was moved from Saturday mornings to Friday nights. So the Saturday morning, I think, would be more of a kid time than definitely. The Friday night. But we'll see. So you say the summer. Okay, that's fair because it gives it enough time. So we'll see here. Nickelodeon Upfront's coming up on March 14th, and a lot of people are expecting big things there. I think it might have been confirmed that they're actually making an announcement about something Korra related there, so we'll see what happens there. So, if you haven't seen the trailer, we'll do a quick breakdown. We had the Spirit Wilds taking over Republic City. We had Tenzin with no shirt on, looking like a badass. We had a red dragon that looks familiar to Fang from Avatar: The Last Airbender with a rider on it who is expected to be Zuko, potentially. We have the White Lotus being knocked down by some sort of bending ability. And yeah, so we're going to be really just talking about that altogether. So the first topic is, we know Zuko, Fire Lord, Aang's friend, originally an antagonist in the original series. It was confirmed that he was alive in 70 years after, so in the Korra series, and we weren't expecting to see him until, a lot of people didn't expect to see him until book 4, which a lot of people are saying is going to be based on fire. So with Zuko potentially being back with a dragon specifically in book 3, what do you think his role might be?
Me?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I'm definitely gonna feel like he's taught the Avatar. Well, yeah, he's taught the Avatar fire before, so he might come back as all like, yeah, I've got the super secret dragon, and I'm gonna go teach up some Korra some firebending techniques that no one's heard about, because he's the Fire Lord. Like, he knows everything. Yeah. So
Zuko is considered one of the best firebenders of all time. So, and then remember, like Iroh. Called the Dragon of the West because he apparently slayed the dragon, which he didn't, but he learned bending from a dragon, which is what happened with the original firebenders. That's how you learn the essence of firebending. Teagan, what do you think about Zuko coming back with the dragon specifically?
That's pretty crazy. I I approve. I'm always for dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of teaching Korra, especially with the dragon, because that gives way to something very kind of like spectacular to happen, something kind of unique that you haven't seen. And the bringing back of the dragons is an interesting idea because though it's mentioned in Last Airbender, it's never really given much thought after that because they're believed to be extinct. So that's interesting that they're back, and we don't know why they're back. So that will be a huge plot line. But then that's kind of messing with some other things that we're going to talk about later. But what about the fact that Azula might still be around? Yes, no?
Well, I don't know. The last time we see her, she's kind of gone.
Yeah.
A little out of her way of crazy powered place. But I don't know. She was supposed to be a prodigy at firebending, right?
Yep.
So she's like lightning going everywhere and really good at everything. So maybe she's going to either learn what she's done wrong or be plotting, being evil, normal Azula things. Maybe come back and, I don't know, be a storyline there. Just like what's happening with her or going against Zuko and his ninja dragon. And
yeah, because at the end of book 3, yeah, she's insane. She's kind of taken off. And then the comic books revealed that we're not quite done them yet, but she's kind of back from her like little insane kick, but she's still quite insane, and she's working, air quotes, with Zuko to find out who their mother is in the Search comic book series. And the last thing we see is her like running away. So we don't know what's up with Azula. I suspect that she's still alive. AJ has some crazy theory that in book 2, when Korra's going to see the Fire Lord and gets him murked, and then is put into the spirit water by those like fire tribe people.
Okay.
That old woman might be Azula.
Oh, the old woman, of course.
Yeah, but that's kind of far-fetched. I don't know. There's no real backing to that other than the fact that they're Fire Nation.
And she's an old woman.
She's an old woman, so I think it's potential to see Azula. And Azula is one of my favorite characters, but this is another thing. There's so many things that's kind of going on at once. Gray Delisle, who voices Azula and is back to voice certain characters in Korra, confirmed like last year that she would not be voicing Azula in Korra. So I'd take that with a grain of salt, though, because obviously she's not going to come out and say, I'm voicing Azula, who's one of the best characters in the universe ever. That would just give away a huge spoiler. So she could say that and still come back, but there might be some thought, like some truth to her saying that she's not.
They could just have a different voice actor, considering that she would be a different age, you know?
Yeah, the same with Katara.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's an interesting theory because Azula and Zuko, 2 of the originals, coming back, and then that could give way to last week. Luck Legend suggested that Toss Fodder, Toss Fodder, Toph's father could still be alive because we know Toph is dead, but Toph's father. So we might get a lot of these older characters coming back, but more specifically now, if Zuko is a large focus of Book 3, where does that leave the whole Earth theory? That we're going to be seeing Ba Sing Se, and it's going to be focused on the Earth Kingdom. Do you think there's enough time to pull off both of them, or do you think there's going to be one or the other? Either Max or Teagan.
I think, I don't know, it worries me because I was really excited for seeing the Earth Kingdom, and I'm worried that they're going to pack too much in. And then it'll be like in book 1 when there was the pro-bending and the uprising, and there was just too many plots. But, I mean, it's definitely a possibility that it could work. They just have to do it right.
So. Yeah, definitely. I don't know, I have a bad feeling about that, actually, because in the first series, there was pro-bending, and she's like, yeah, I'm doing this, and then Amon, or Mask guy, he comes down and he takes over the arena. So they were kind of like, okay, this is too much. We're going to stop that. And we're going to like carry on this one that's more important. So they could potentially do that in book 3. Like they could be all like, sweet, there's dragons, but we're going to ignore Zuko now and go to the Earth Kingdom, or vice versa.
And the problem is that I'm by default saying that they're going to have to pick one or the other because they seem to not like to carry over story from one season to the other. So what are they going to do? But at the same time, I think it's difficult because a lot of people are just making up a bunch of stuff. Like, a lot of it's still theorized. So, you know, a lot of people said that Earth Queen's going to be a villain. Well, that could not be true. A lot of people said that Earth Queen's going to be a major portion of Book 3. That could potentially not be true as well. Things can be read out of context and things can be theorized. So we don't even know if the Earth Queen's going to be a big thing. We don't know if she's going to be a villain. And at the same time, the Earth Queen could just be like a couple episode thing. You know what I mean? Where they just go and see the Earth Queen and whatever reasons for the plot, they need her to be involved in something. And then it could be solely based on Zuko. But I'm actually leaning more towards Zuko being involved for a smaller portion of time. We have the Spirit Wilds taking over Republic City. And if that becomes a big thing, it's up to the leaders of the nations to come together and, you know, make stuff right. So we could be seeing the Earth Queen, Zuko as the Fire Lord, but I think he's retired actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's retired. Someone else is now.
But still, he's very powerful. And then you see Tonrak, who's the leader of the tribes, or actually the Southern, because they're split now, and whoever is, I guess Tenzin by default's the leader of the Air Nomads. So,
well, there's not much left.
Yeah, there's not much left. So we could see all these people having to team together to defeat the spirits, because we know, as we've seen and through legends and stuff like that, the spirits aren't an easy thing to deal with. And with them taking over Republic City, as we sort of see in the trailer with kind of like the vines kind of growing up on the buildings there, that they're going to need to do something. Now, how do you feel about Bossing Say and, like, to that extension, the Dai Li being still a huge part of Book 3? Would you rather see the Earth Kingdom, or would you rather see Zuko and the Fire Lord and stuff like that next?
I don't know. That's a tough question, because we could go to Bossing Say, but then we could see the cultural effects of, like, what's happening, like, with the Industrial Revolution and stuff like that. We could see that in Bossing Say. Or we could go back to the norm, or what we used to have in Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko. Like, it could go both ways. It could go way into the future with Ba Sing Se, we could see what happens, or we could go back and spend some more time developing the plot of Avatar, where people might want to know. It's just which way they're going to go. Mm-hmm. Like, are they going to make some fans happy, or are they going to make some other fans happy? Mm-hmm. Like, they have ways to choose there, so.
Teagan?
Well, I haven't seen Ba Sing Se yet.
Yep.
I'm not that far. But I definitely think it would be interesting to see where that has gone and compared to Republic City, stuff like that. Yeah.
Jeremy Zuckerman, who does the music, part of the A-Team, leads that up, composer who makes the beloved Avatar and Korra music, has stated in an interview with Republic City Dispatch, another podcast, mm-hmm. that this season is going to have a lot more Last Airbender feel. So, again, he only makes the music, but he probably is seeing a lot of the animated stuff completed because he has to make music to the scenes. So if that's the case, then I think we could go more in the direction of seeing these places. And I'm okay with that, because I think that there's been too much focus in too little areas where Avatar: The Last Airbender spent a large portion of the time traveling around, whether it was Ba Sing Se or the Air Temples or the Fire Nation. The Earth Kingdom is a large place, so I want to see more traveling, and that'll be interesting. How about, let's talk about the White Lotus. So we know the White Lotus has been protecting Korra, and Aang tasked them with protecting the avatars. That was their duty going on. And we see a little bit of the White Lotus early on, and they seem to be more brutish, at least in my opinion. Not the sacred White Lotus of Iroh and the secrecy of it. It's more of a public thing now. And we see a collection of White Lotus members being knocked down. So that's brought up the theory that the White Lotus could potentially be the main antagonist for this series. And that could be interesting. I'm not quite sure. Does anybody have a theory on why the White Lotus could be evil in this upcoming series? Yeah, I know it's a bit tough. It's a bit of a,
yeah.
I think that its potential, I don't know. I think there could be a corruption thing. It's kind of like it's kind of like the Dai Li predicament that they had. But I think if the White Lotus is being controlled, then I don't know if it's necessarily within their ranks. I think it might be somebody who has control over them. They're tasked with protecting the Avatar, but if they're the antagonist, that means they would be going against Korra. And why? Could it be potentially because they don't agree with the ideology that Korra's trying to push in terms of how she's acting as an Avatar? Maybe they are tasked, again, with making sure that the Avatar is not only protected physically, but mentally from themselves as well. So maybe they don't like the whole fact that the spirit world has been opened to Republic City, and now it's just a big free-for-all. Does that kind of start making any sense? I think it does too. But again, you have three major things that have been introduced, and how are you going to work them into like 12, 13 episodes? You have the Earth Queen. You have Zuko now on a dragon, which we don't even know the scale of any of these things, and then you have the White Lotus. These are three huge potential complete plot devices for a whole season, but we don't know which ones. Do you think there's a potential for it to be an overhang to the next season, instead of like, as we've seen, it's been like one season, second season, completely different stories? Do you think there'd be an overhang this time, Max?
Well, the problem is that the first one, she defeated the bad guy, she won. Mm-hmm. So she got super awesomely more powerful right at the end of season 1. So nothing really happened. Complete, done. They didn't even need a second season, but they did anyways, which is fine with me. Then season 2, she destroyed the biggest thing that has ever happened to the world ever for 10,000 years. And then she's all like, well, I'm going to go do something. So now it's leading up. It's getting bigger. So something's got to be like, in third book, it's got to be something gigantic. Like, they could have, like, each one of those could be a separate season, but it could also be, like, all of them at once. Like, they could try it that way, because they tried doing that with Avatar Last Airbender Season 2. They tried, like, the Fire Nations, but Earth Kingdom is also there, and their resistance and fighting.
That could be true.
All that jazz. So they could try and just jam it all into one, and then just, like, hope that it'll work.
Yeah, because as we know last time, like, this is a big flaw in my books for Season 2, which I really wish they'd fleshed out better, was the Civil War. It was 2 episodes, it wasn't even a civil war, it was like a blockade, and then it kind of was just like nothing. So if we see war, I want it to be on a grand scale.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that there should be some overhang, because it would play in, especially if the third book is about fire, then it could play well into that, and we could see a good portion of the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation, and Zuko being not a main character, but important in some aspect. It's an ode to those who watched the original series. But at the same time, I want them to figure out Toph's backstory. I think with all this hype around Zuko being back, I think people are forgetting about how they wanted, or sorry, not Toph's backstory, but Lynn's backstory. I think people really, really want Lynn's backstory. And I want to know, because it just makes her character kind of irrelevant if she doesn't have a backstory. So that's at least an episode or 2 in itself. So if you start breaking down 2 here, 2 there, 4 here, and then not to mention that people are crying for more Bolin, Mako, Asami, and Korra development. We need to flesh out Bolin a bit more. Asami has been called horrendous things by a large portion of people, how she's useless. Well, if they need to make her useful, then they're going to have to give her a couple more episodes. And now that all these other things are kind of coming to the center stage, I don't know if some of these characters are going to get the backseat. What about Varric? You know, Varric kind of escaped. If they just completely left that off and wrote him off as a character, I would be severely pissed.
Yeah, I would be so angry.
Because pretty sweet.
Varric,
he was one of my favorites. Maybe
he pops up. He could be an important part of. Maybe this is his grand plot to control the White Lotus and like bring. You know, I'm just spitballing here, but there's so many characters and so many plots, and it's very delicate, very delicate.
Yeah.
So ultimately, what in order of importance? What would you rank as number 1 down? So, like I've said, Teagan, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think we definitely need more just character development of Team Avatar 2.0.
That's number 1.
That's what I want to see.
Okay.
Number 2, I really want to keep Varric involved. Obviously, because, as I said, he's one of my favorite characters. And the third thing I want to see is I really liked your idea of all of the, I don't know, like the masters of each element, like Tenzin, Zuko, and the Earth Queen getting together and being like, I don't know, the Avengers, but of the Avatar world.
Yeah.
I really like that idea, so...
Like, kind of like the old school team, not the
yeah, exactly.
the old school team, but, you know.
And it's giving, like, a shout-out to fans who have been here for, you know, the entire time.
Or whatever
exactly,
it is, yeah. Max, how about your rank of importance?
I don't know. They could touch on so many things, but I feel in order to have a good series, you need to have character background. Like, you need that... If you're going to watch these characters for 13 episodes, you're going to want to at least know their last names, so to speak. Like, you want to know their backstories.
Yeah.
So that's what I think should be first. Like, just building up on what they've said before, and, like, just creating all these new characters. Not new characters. Creating the stories for the old characters. Like, we could get more, Asami characters. Like, we could get more, like, use for third, because in Season 2, they were just going off, and they were all like, she had 2 episodes, her whole point was to get money back for her father's, like...
Company,
company, because she's losing all this money. So instead of making that a plot story, and doing something with that was like 2 episodes, where she was just walking around trying to get money, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they could have done a lot more in that, but then they'd have 25 episodes a season,
So plot's number 1.
Plot's definitely number 1. Number 2, I feel like we definitely need to add more elements in, because we're in Republic City now, and in the first one, bending was like not allowed, or it was frowned upon because of what was happening. So they showed like how that wasn't allowed. But in Season 2, there was kind of just like water kind of really
and it's always
boring.
water.
It's always water. Maybe it's because she is a water avatar, though, right?
Yeah, that's
she's
her
supposed
base
to be
element,
her base element, except she's got all of them for some reason. Well, except air, of course. But
we saw her use more air in this trailer specifically.
Yes.
But
Yes.
more elements. That's what a lot of people are asking for. How about 3?
Because...
How about 3?
3?
Yeah. We have Zuko, the White Lotus, the Earth Queen.
I don't know. It would be cool to see, because in the Avatar: The Last Airbender, all the old people, or the cultural identities of people, it was, if they're old enough and they're really powerful in their own respective elements, then they are part of the White Lotus. So we could see that if the White Lotus is going to be like the bad guys in the series, we could see that Zuko could be a part of the White Lotus now, and so could the Earth Queen, so could Tenzin. He could just not be telling anyone, right? And then they could have to turn against their own White Lotus in order to save the Avatar, right?
Right.
So they could have something there.
That's true. Okay, yeah, I agree. So I think, above all, like always, plot and character development, most specifically character development, is the most important aspect.
Yes.
More Asami, a continuation of what Korra was doing at the end of last season. Big improvements for Mako and Bolin. Number 2 for me would be a not necessarily just seeing the Earth Queen or seeing Zuko, but more in-depth look at the world of Avatar, because we've been kind of stuck for a while. And 3rd, really rounding out characters and making them in part of a meaningful plot. So whether that's Varric or anything, we still have a bunch of stuff from Season 2 that you could explore. You have the whole fact that Jinora just became this really powerful airbender at a young age. So what are we going to do with her? You have the whole fact that that not that it would be explored, but Tonorak now is like the leader of his tribe down there. We still have Asuka and Desna. What are they going to do, if they're going to be back at all? You have a lot of stuff to wrap up if you want to wrap it up or write it off completely. So next season we'll have to do a very good job at doing that. And I don't know, the aura around the season is a lot more like, yes, we're excited, we're very happy.
Yep.
But I think people get very excited about every season and be like, it's going to be the best one yet, and then it kind of fails in their regard. But I think the creators have finally clued into what the people want and what they were doing wrong, and they're going to build off the good rather than build off the bad.
Yes.
So we're going to be... Yeah, definitely. So we're going to be going to a quick music break to round out this segment, and we'll be back on the other side with some talk about Zuko and why he may be involved with the dragons.
lit a candle, was talking all about our love. And then it fizzled out, I swear the wicked turned to smoke. I tried to light it back up myself, but it took the hands of someone else. There were days all I dreamt was a California shore, and everywhere I looked, oh Lord, you know I wanted more. But it wasn't you, babe. Even though I know.
Welcome back, everybody, to Castbender Podcast. Hope you enjoyed that music break. We're going to be talking about dragons. So Kevel, our good friend Kevel from Avatar: The Legend of Korra Online, wrote an article about dragons being back in Book 3. And I was going to mention the Sun Warriors before, but I just saw this article while we were recording, and I was like, damn. Let's stop and let's do a segment solely based on Zuko and the dragon, and maybe how it could be. So, as you recall, in the episode The Firebending Masters from Avatar: The Last Airbender, Zuko informed Aang that his uncle had killed off the last dragon, and it wasn't until the two met the Sun Warriors when they were informed that Uncle Iroh was telling a lie. Iroh publicized the lie that he had killed the last dragon in order to ensure that no one would hunt and kill them anymore. So out of caution, Uncle Iroh did this. Dragons have lived in secrecy since. It's been debated whether or not they have been extinct, but it's fair enough to say that there's probably a low population of them that are living in secrecy out of fear of being murdered because they are depicted as evil. So, since the shocking reveal of the dragons that we saw in the trailer, theories come along with that. So, Max, do you want to talk about the first theory that came up and probably the most likely one revolving around the Sun Warriors?
Sure. All right. Well, the Sun Warriors, they were in Avatar. I think it was Book 3, actually, because Zuko had to teach Aang, but irrelevant. They had this stone that they were guarding, and it's shaped like an egg. It's kind of like golden, like ornate. It's very fancy, and they said it was a magical sunstone. Well, they said that they learned firebending from the dragon, so it could be like a connection. And Zuko said that it felt alive when he held it, so that could definitely be a tie-in there. But also, that's where the dragons are. Like the last two surviving dragons that we know about.
Yeah,
they were at the Sun Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a connection there.
Ren and Shaw live there.
Yep.
There's just so many there's so much evidence to say that it was actually the dragon, because Ren and Shaw lived there. The Sun Warriors have been heavily involved in that culture for a long time. Yeah, Zuko said it felt alive. And it could potentially be like the whole Game of Thrones-esque thing where there's these eggs that weren't believed to hatch. Dogs are barking. And because it was Zuko, there was some power there, definitely some spiritual energy behind it, it decided that it wanted to hatch. What do you think of that, Teagan?
Well, I was just going to say, I like the second theory Kevel brings up in his article, which is that perhaps it's from the spirit world.
Oh,
which
no.
I haven't gotten to the Sunstone yet, so I don't even know. But I kind of like the idea of the spirit world, because then I think it would sort of make Korra's decision seem like a good one, because everyone's like, why would you mess with him? Well, cool dragons.
Having dragons just roaming out there?
Fun.
Dude, they could murk you.
And the fact that he's riding the dragon, so he's got to have taught the dragon to be ridden, so he's got to have it for a long time.
No.
They were released, yesterday.
No. And also, I think that it's a good thing to have dragons in the season, because they can then be carried over to the fourth season, because we know that's probably going to be about fire. So,
Maybe.
So, therefore, dragons are good. They got my vote.
For the spirit world? From the spirit world?
Or from any world, but I like the spirit thing too.
There is a truth to it, because we have to look at the fact that the spirit portals have been opened, and that the spirits are going to be a large part of the books coming up until the conclusion of that, I guess, if that's not already just the conclusion. I think it's fair to say that something else is going to have to happen with the spirits. It just doesn't seem that concluded yet. So it's potential that could happen. Now, a lot of people said in the comments that they, one person, Digital Blocks, he just wants Zuko back. That's all. And I'm like, I feel you, dude. I feel you. We have Quack here with a great comment, and I think there's some truth to this potentially. So he says that explanation, see what I did there, is a good one, but I think Iroh might be involved too. From Avatar: The Last Airbender, we know that he was the Dragon of the West because he defeated the last dragon, which was confirmed to be a lion, as explained in the post. But we also know that Iroh has a link with the spirit world. Maybe his return to the spirit world, as we've seen in Book 2 of The Legend of Korra, may result in him communicating with the dragons and telling them that it is safe and time to reveal themselves to the humans again, because there's finally someone who understands them and the real way of firebending, that someone being Zuko. So I'm not sure exactly if that's going to be how it's planned out. That's a great idea. I think the dots are there now, but I think it's potentially possible for Iroh to be involved with the whole revival of the dragon culture, especially because we saw him and everybody loves Iroh. He's my favorite character, so we could see more of that. I don't know. I think I'm really excited for the dragons. Any series that has dragons and does them right is an A+ in my book. And
want those.
Yeah, and if it's also another excuse to see the Sun Warriors, a while ago, we're talking a long time ago, AJ and I, we did an episode about the Sun Warriors specifically, and they're one of our favorite parts that are kind of left in more of a mystery in Avatar: The Last Airbender, because they have a cool culture. They're firebenders, but they're not what you would call your traditional firebender. They have this kind of like secretive, diverse culture. They have dragons, all this crazy stuff. So I think that's neat. So we're going to go to some Twitter things. So I asked a question. Twitter! As AJ would say, the Twitter lightning round. Like a complete dweeb. We love you, AJ.
Yeah, AJ, you're the best.
You're the best, AJ. I asked the question, what surprised you most about the new Legend of Korra trailer? And we had a bunch of answers come in. The first one being dragons. So Avatar Central said that the thing that they were most surprised about in the trailer was dragons. Now, I just thought of something before we go on. What was your guys' favorite thing from the trailer?
Shirtless Tenzin.
Shirtless Tenzin.
Oh yeah, he was
Hottie with a body.
I'm honestly surprised how ripped Tenzin was.
I know.
He's like this.
He's an airbender, bud. You know how hard those monks have to work. They're lifting stuff.
And they fast all the time, so they're really slim, I guess.
His earlobes are so droopy. I thought the rest of his body would just be old and saggy like his earlobes. No. They're firm and tight.
Oh, you got to see you saw some display of his tattoos there.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part was the White Lotus, because that, for me, that poses the most unanswered questions. The White Lotus, so that's most interesting. Zach at Mr. Bacon Z said Tenzin. I like your avatar, Zach. It's Mario riding Yoshi. That's always cool. Jackie, our good friend Jackie, said that the White Lotus in all caps was their favorite part. Korra Rebel Spirit at Korra Rebel Spirit without a T on their hashtag. That's unfortunate that your name's one letter too long. I hate that about Twitter. Sometimes I have the best names for a Twitter account or something that I want to do, and then I'm like one letter too long.
Korra Rebel Spirit.
Perfect.
Said that Lin Beifong's sneaky appearance. Yeah, there's one clip where Lin's like right in the back in the right bottom hand corner, just chilling there, and that's their favorite part. And I also asked Avatar Central about if the antagonist or the White Lotus, where does that leave the Earth Queen, and could this be confirming that she is an evil? And Avatar Central said, I've wondered the same thing. Maybe the White Lotus fight we saw was set up, and maybe there's something, it's a disguise. That's another theory that I forgot to bring up. You know how they disguise themselves as I got really close to the mic there. How they disguise themselves as Dai Li in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Maybe we're putting way too much thought into this White Lotus thing. Maybe it's a disguise, because it could be a very, very good disguise, because they're the protectors of Korra and everything. And Teagan's laughing. If you didn't already see everybody, we were looking at Aang, and we saw the baby picture of him from Avatar Wiki. And if you go over to our Twitter page, you can see it. He looks derpy, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, Max, what do you think?
Especially like the fact that doesn't have any teeth yet. He's full on smiling.
His nice brows, like a good.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And
nice
his little
brows.
tuft of hair.
Yeah, the weird thing that he has from season million. Jeez.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. What a gorgeous
Yeah.
baby. And his ears too, like they're little. They're normally supposed to be gigantic. They make fun of it all the time.
He's got quite the chin too.
Yeah.
Am I making this up, or when Aang has hair in the third season for a while, isn't it curly and brown or something?
Yeah.
That's so weird that Aang has curly brown hair. But yeah, and then you see him held by some black guy. I don't know who that is, or if it's just a shadow. It could be Gyatso, Monk Gyatso. Or no, yeah, that's him, right? Oh
Gyatso.
No, the Guru's the black guy. He's the only black guy, not Gyatso. My bad, but Gyatso could have been black. I'm not quite sure.
What?
That's another thing.
Series
We don't see any black people in Avatar.
No, we never do.
That's unfortunate. I feel bad for
much.
no diversity. But anyway, thank you all for your comments for this episode. And if you have any comments about what we've talked about on our episode today, you can leave them on our Twitter and etc. And I'm going to run through some of our social media. So if you want to go to our website, castbender.ca, you can find all past episodes there. You can find where to download them, where to stream them. You can stream them right off the website. And you can find links to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, our associates, Avatar: The Legend of Korra Online and Comic Related. If you want to go and check out our About page to know about our fabulous hosts, you can do that, our FAQ. And if you're having problems finding something that you really need, you can tweet us at twitter.com/castbender. You can leave us a message at facebook.com/castbender. You can go over to our YouTube channel where we do a lot of vlogs and other associated things. Is youtube.com/castbenderpodcast. Go check out that montage of us tubing down a hill. If you want to go visit the forums, there's a forum tab up at the bottom, or you can go to forum.avatarlegendofkorraonline.com, make an account, and join the conversation. And there's a donate tab. Remember, we are all college students. Well, Max isn't, but
he's a high schooler.
Close.
He's close enough.
He's a baby.
He's a baby.
Oh God,
like baby.
Like baby Hank.
That's what Max looks like if you're wanting to picture him.
So if you want to donate, there's a one-time option or a monthly option. You can get perks for the dollar amount, and that helps us out, make sure that we can pay for our hosting and everything for our website and our show. So that is it for Castbender. Thank you, Max, for coming on the show this week. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Castbender. See ya.
Bye.